How do you do? I am the Mainly Digger, and this video is about Maine. I love talking about Maine. I love metal detecting, but I also love talking about Maine. This video is about places you need to go if you're a certain type of person. Are you antisocial? Do you hate society? Do people just piss you off? These are the places you need to go in Maine. Mainly dig out. I've watched so many videos, and I've said this before, but I've watched so many videos about Maine or people traveling to Maine where they go to Portland, they go to Saco, they go to Camden, they go to the coast, the coastal areas. Gorgeous, they're all gorgeous. But during tourist season, those locations are packed. The beaches are packed. People don't like, straying too far away from society. I'm not one of those people. I don't like society. I like people, I just don't like society. I don't like big crowds. I will go all the way up north. I will go as far up north as possible to get away from the crowds during tourist season. And most Mainers are like that. That people love, like you can always tell the out-of-staters, the Flatlanders, because when you go to these different beaches or these different locations, they all stick to one spot. There could be a whole span of beach, but everything, all their trash is located in one area. This video is about, if you're coming to Maine, where you actually need to go. If you like getting away, if you don't like society and you want to get out, that is what Maine is amazing for. There's places in Maine that people haven't seen in probably a decade. Before I start this video, let's talk about Operation Reboot Outdoors. Operation Reboot Outdoors is a nonprofit organization. This nonprofit organization has one mission, and it's to get veterans and law enforcement back out into the Maine woods, to take them hunting, fishing, just to get them out. Here's some of their merchandise. All profits from this merchandise go to their mission. Join the Reboot Nation. You can join the Operation Reboot Nation by subscribing to their channel on YouTube. If you don't like crowds and you're antisocial, don't go to these spots during tourist season. Horrible idea. Maine is gorgeous. The coast is gorgeous. Reed State Park is amazing, but during tourist season, like most of the locations I'm about to spout off, it's overcrowded. Popham Fort and Popham Beach, everyone goes there during tourist season. Camden, Maine, and Rockport, we'll just throw Rockport in here too, and Rockland, crowded and overpriced, expensive, especially for a cheap guy. Like Old Orchard Beach is gorgeous. During tourist season, I'm still not going there. So my very first suggestion, and it's because of personal reasons, there's no actual point why I'm suggesting it first, is Jackman, Maine. Gorgeous, gorgeous spot. There's so much to do. There's only 800 and 900 people in the town, and that's not at one time. So there's not a lot of people in Jackman, a lot. It's great. It's a great spot. When I was younger, my father used to take me up there. Every summer we would go up there and go to Hola Pond, which is 11 miles back. And my dad was kind of I wouldn't call him restrictive, but he had a lot of rules. So when we'd go in the woods or we'd go to Hola Pond, the only rules he had were come back when you smell dinner and don't break the game laws. Go explore, go fishing, go swimming, do whatever you want. This is the outdoors. You're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to, don't get eaten by a bear was his best suggestion. The best memories I've ever had growing up is when we went to Hola Pond. Amazing time, amazing place. They have an ice cream shop. My dad and I would drive 11 miles back to town and get ice cream. It was a great time. Like 2 or 3 gas stations. Of course, this was like 10 years ago, and most of those places are still open, which is it's funny to me. So there's like 2 or 3 gas stations. One of the gas stations, and I'll put it in there, I don't remember the name of it. It had everything. Like it was your gas station, it was your post office. It was you had, because there you have to register for campsites. You look at the campsite and see if it's open, and you just register. It doesn't cost any money. You just make sure people don't, you don't go to a site and someone's already there. Cool. So it's an interesting spot, and of course, all my memories of that time are from over 20 years ago. So amazing spot. Jackman, Maine is the perfect place for the outdoorsman. There's so much. Most of it is logging property. So the only thing you have to watch out is when you're on logging roads. The only warning I have for you is the logging trucks don't stop. They own that land. My second location is the Allagash. If you are one of those people who wants to disappear, the Allagash is where you go. If you're one of those people who can live off the land, the Allagash is where you want to go. You can literally park your vehicle, probably leave it unlocked, and no one's going to touch it. Why? Because there's no one else around. Like, you can find spots in the Allagash that haven't been seen in 5 to 10 years. That's how big it is. It is a large piece of land that is either owned by the mills or different logging companies. So that little red speck is the Allagash waterway. The big portion of northern Maine that is red is the Allagash, or is considered the Allagash. It's an amazing spot if you're an outdoorsman, a survivalist, hunter, fisher, any of that. There's so much land, and if you don't like people, if you are completely antisocial, you could go there with probably a week's worth of food, some survival knowledge, and just survive for months. You'd probably come out for the winter months, but that's what people do. They go up there, live tax-free, probably like $300 in their pockets for a couple of months, and survive off the land. It all. Allagash is amazing. It's gorgeous. It's remote. It's very remote. So my third spot that I would suggest, and I've said it maybe in the past videos, is Tumbledown Mountain. The elevation on Tumbledown Mountain is 1,952 feet. I could be wrong about that. It's an easy hike. Well, depending on where you go, it could be an easy hike. So if you're going there, plan on hiking for about 3 hours, depending on how fast you walk. There's three different trails. There's 3 known trails. There's actually 4 trails. I've been on 2 of the trails. I've been lost multiple times on that mountain, and still found my way either back up or back down. There is a lake which is known as Crater Lake or Tumbledown Pond. It has another name too. I forgot exactly what the other names. I just always knew it as the pond on Tumbledown Mountain. It's stocked with salmon. In Western Maine. Western Maine itself, that whole region is just different. It's just a different spot. It's an awesome hunting. All of Maine is great for hunting, but there's more mountains to it. There's more, or mountain ranges. So I just wanted to show everybody this region of Maine. I could probably do a whole nother video on this region. You see Tumbledown Mountain, which I have a pin on, Weld Lake, Dix Field, DIX Field. I spent some time there. I went to high school there for 6 months. I know this area pretty well. My dad has guided in this area for a long time. Never mind Rumford. Rumford is a dump. But the places around Rumford are amazing. Rangeley, I don't think it's in this photo. Rangeley's close by. Weld Lake is amazing. Carthage is and Peru are kind of like, they kind of remind me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or the town in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because they're a one-stop shop. Like they have, I forgot about Peru, but I know Carthage has like a pizza stop that is also a gas station. Interesting places. They're not murdery, or you're not expecting banjos to play, but you have to go through those towns to get to Mount Tumbledown, or Tumbledown Mountain. And if you don't get the banjo reference, just ask me. And how people talk from that region is just different. It's interesting to hear them to talk. I've not to keep talking about Operation Reboot, but Dan and Abe are both from Canton in Peru and Dixfield, so they grew up there, so they have that accent. That I'm going to talk about is the Forks. The Forks, or Forks Plantation. There's the Forks, and then there's the West Forks, which is known for whitewater rafting, the best whitewater rafting you'll ever have. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner. It doesn't matter if you're an expert. The best rapids you'll ever see. I've only done whitewater rafting once, and it was at the Forks, but I've always heard things from different people about the Forks, and none of it was bad. It is off of Wikipedia. There's only 35 or 36 people in the Forks, and I will post that off Wikipedia. True story. So here's my proof. Everybody thinks I'm lying about the size of some Maine towns, or the population of some Maine town. 37 people in 2010, 35 people in 2000. It's got a 3-star hotel, or the hotels have a 3-star average. Fairly cheap per night, I guess, $135, depending on who you are. But there you go, proof. So to the upper right, you will notice Caribou and Presque Isle. Fort Kent is up there too. So I'm going to throw these cities or towns in together. They are fairly large for Maine, fairly large towns or cities. It is a gorgeous country. They're remote, really, even for their size. The people that are there, they're spread out, and property and land is cheap. If you want to go somewhere and buy cheap property, this is where you go. Hotels cost $80 a day, if that. Snowmobile season. Snowmobiling's huge up there. It's obviously right next to Canada, but it's very cheap to live there. There's a college at Fort Kent. It's a fairly small college, and the sign is in French because they're right on the Canadian border. Laugh all you want, but this just proves my point. This is the city of Fort Kent, or the town of Fort Kent. All of it. US Route 1 ends or starts in Fort Kent, depending on how you look at it. So they are very proud of that fact. After that, it's Canada. Next, we're going to talk about the city of Presque Isle. It is a farming community, mostly potato farming, and there's some dairy farms there too. But that's it. Most of the United States potatoes come from Presque Isle. During World War II, they had German or POWs work the fields, and there was no real security, maybe 1 or 2 guards, but they would, if they ran. The mosquitoes and bugs in Maine were so bad, or are so bad in Maine,
that they would come back a week later, if that. They'd probably make it max 2 weeks in Maine. Is probably one of the largest northern cities in Maine. It's not very large comparative, but it is one of the largest cities, and there's no caribou there at all whatsoever. It just makes me laugh because there's no caribou in Maine, but they are still proud of the fact that they are called caribou. Caribou is the people there are probably the nicest people in Maine, and that goes for Fort Kent and Presque Isle. They are very nice people. They'll do anything for you.